It's a pleasure to serve under your chairmanship, and I'd like to congratulate my honourable friend for bringing this debate and say how much of a pleasure it is to follow the honourable lady with her important comments. A lot of people have raised the subject of intimidation in connection with the UK. But I would like to raise the subject of intimidation from an international perspective. And I start from that by saying that it is absolutely essential that MPs have a role in foreign affairs. It's absolutely essential that we play that role. And in that role, I have taken a stand against Russia, for example, that has not led to any intimidation yet. But I've also taken a stand in the Israeli and Palestinian conflict, which has led to intimidation. And what it has led to is a series of over 30 emails, each of them threatening me with death. And the conversations that generated these started with a UK individual, a UK boy, who was clearly pro-Palestinian, who asked me what I made of the Israeli bombs falling on Palestine. And I returned by saying, well, what do you make of the Palestinian bombs falling on Israel? And for that, I was put on a death list, and my name was not taken off that. When I came in to put this to the Sergeant-at-Arms, I was told to queue up with the 180 other MPs who had received death threats, which I think goes to the point that my honourable friend was making, that we need to make sure that our own system here for dealing with this takes it seriously and provides a very good service to deal with this for the MPs that are there. In contrast to this was the reaction of my own Chief Constable, who told me that she was going to give it to a Chief Inspector who normally dealt with these things, and if he saw something there, he would take further action. I said no more to my family about this. I went away, forgot it, and got on with my work. But at 2 o'clock in the morning, my house was having a panic alarm installed in it by the police, and I was given a telephone number that I could ring from my mobile or from my home address that would scramble the helicopter from the local base to me and set in train a response unit from the Thames Valley headquarters in Kidlington. If I was to dial that now, of course, it would take 2 days for the response unit to reach us, which would probably be too late. So I suppose there's a small mercy in that. This was all supposed to intimidate me. It was supposed to intimidate me into taking a position in relation to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, which I had actually taken a very even view of throughout this. I tell you what it did do, Sir Gary. It made me want to go out to the region myself and see what was happening. And I've now been out to the region 10 times in the last 7 years to see for myself what is happening. And I've had discussions on both the Israeli side and on the Palestinian side to be able to take this forward. But the really frightening thing of this has been mentioned by others. It's not that I run my office in what is a very large and long constituency on a basis that doesn't have a physical location. And it has a post office box, an email address and a telephone. And that immediately put at risk my staff who work there. It's in fact somebody's house. And it is quite easily possible to find out from a post office box address, where that house is. And to find that my staff were equally threatened with this, I think was just a stage too far. It did not work. It did not work, and I would suggest that there is a very good reason why it did not work, apart from my own attitude to this, because I don't think that such intimidation should ever work. And I believe that we all have to stand up and make sure that our voices are heard. We need to stand up to these sort of bullies, wherever they come from, and to make sure that we are true to ourselves, true to our own intelligence and our own logic in assessing these situations, and of course I will.
The honourable member for giving way. Would he agree with me on the issue of standing up to people like this, that it's important that in the wider discourse that we make it clear that whatever our views are on these somewhat controversial issues, we can express them clearly, directly, even vehemently, but there is a line which neither members of Parliament or other elected representatives or people outside must never cross. Violence, the threat of violence, the use of violence, or the endorsing of violence. And if everybody understands that, we could have a much more measured debate in the future.
I thank my honourable friend for that contribution. I agree with every word that he has said. The problem with it is that there is not everyone outside who understands what that line is. And that's the difficulty. We in this room can understand exactly where that line is, but there are those outside who do not understand that. And that is a source of great regret to me, as I'm sure it is for him and for all others in this room. So I just go back to finish off. We need to stand up to these bullies wherever they occur. We need to be true to our own views, however we have come to them, however different they may be from other people. And I certainly was not going to be intimidated by this group, and I have not been in my views ever since.